So I feel like there's been a lot of drama about Stella lately.
No, you stupid cow! You did nothing!
Like, more than usual. As there are some people that have been arguing that Stella's character was assassinated by the latest episode. This is of course a follow-up to the last time people said her character got murdered, with people being mad at the quote-unquote new direction they've taken her character. That she has now been reduced to an angry woman child who has to be spoon-fed the realization that Stolas didn't put her in the will. Like, I've seen people say that this episode ruined Stella, which is the funniest f***ing sentence I have ever said. So let's talk about it. As I do think that there is a discussion to be had on just how Helluva Boss has handled Stella as a character, especially with what we've seen in Western Energy. As a character of subtlety, she is not. But I also think that people are missing out on some key things about Stella as a person, as she might be dumb, but she's not as dumb as people or even Andrelphus make her out to be. It's just me giving my thoughts on her as a character, how she's been treated in the past, and where I think the story is gonna take her.
The fuck are you doing?
Now, Stella was never a great person. Even when the situation with Stolas was morally gray-ish, we never were led to believe that Stella was ever the kindest or nicest person in the world. But you could forgive that, as every time we saw her,
Want to fuck this one too? No!
she was pissed off, as her husband was cheating on her with an imp, which to hell is only marginally better than sleeping with the dog. Also important to keep in mind was that this was happening very publicly, with her husband's new booty call dropping headfirst dick out in front of her friends. This was a very public affair, so you could kind of understand why Stella would be as livid with her husband as she was. You don't condone it, but you get it. But even at that time, it felt like Stella and Stolas had either long fallen out of love or never were to begin with, a la arranged marriage. We never saw Stella as nice, kind, or even really decent, but it felt like there was a layer of complexity there that we hadn't really gotten Stella's side of the story yet. Stolas did do a pretty shitty thing, one that, especially to the image-obsessed upper class, would negatively impact not just his, but her reputation as well. So she ends up hiring Stryker to kill her husband. Not great, but you get it. Then season 2 happened.
I like tormenting you.
Oh dear, I seem to have spotted a Good day!
Yeah, turns out there was no subtlety here. Stella has always just been a terrible person who made Stolas' life a living hell while they were already living in it, with her mocking him at every opportunity, in private, in public, or just in front of the other rich people, and this has the effect of turning Stolas cheating on her from a kind of a scummy move to an act of triumph. However, this did have the knock-on effect of pissing off a lot of people, some of whom just didn't like the new direction that she was going. She was never great, but to many, her just being an awful person reduced her to a two-dimensional character. It was less interesting and basically absolved Stolas of all blame for what had happened. People were mad, people were disappointed, and there's no problem with that. There's nothing wrong with finding the nuance of Stolas having a failed marriage more interesting than Stella just always being evil. However, something that has to be kept in mind is that this isn't a retcon, as we really never had enough information about Stella as a person to really make this call. In fact, we only ever got glimpses of season 1 Stella, and we never got to see her not mad, with the sole exception being a picture from the past that feels like it's just there to sell that Octavia was happy once. But nope, turns out Stella has always been a super bitch. So maybe they got lucky with that photo and caught her thinking about strangling puppies. Now, I personally love her just being the worst. Her voice actress is just way too good at it, but I don't blame anyone who was hoping or thinking that there may be something more here. As Helluva Boss, I do think this is a bit of a problem. Their villains always imply that they have more going on and that we're gonna see them again later. They aren't one and dones, they are always billed as being recurring threats, and that builds up excitement. That makes you think, oh, what is their whole deal? There's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of possibilities, and that room for speculation that may disappoint when you find out what the final product is. And for Stella, that is definitely a problem. We never got to see that much of her, and we assume the situation between her and Stolas might have a little bit of nuance. There might be a little something there. Maybe Stolas cheating on his wife had consequences besides bumming his daughter out. But we had headcanons. We didn't have facts. And that's the difference between the Stella reveal back then versus in Western Energy. Before, we didn't have enough info to say one way or the other. Maybe Stella was just always a bad person, or maybe she was just super tired and was just telling Stolas to go deal with the baby. But from what we've seen, when it comes to Stella acting like a spoiled, petulant child, I found that to be completely in character.
I want this cheating prick dead. I don't care who you have to go through. Make it happen!
Yeah, this is the same woman who was planning an assassination right across from the man she was trying to kill. Let's not pretend that it's shocking that she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And the scene that got people in a tizzy is when we watch Stella's brother Andrelphus have to remind Stella that if she kills Stolas, all his stuff will just go to their daughter Octavia, leaving her with nothing. So instead, Andrelphus suggests that they should wait, providing the story a very convenient reason to have Stella call off the hit. The plan has changed to the foul fiends biding their time to gain leverage on Stolas so that they can steal his estate when he dies. So this has kind of just gotten some people in a huff, as it really does take Stella a little while to get to the obvious conclusion. And people have just really run with the idea that Stella is just dumb now. It's just one more hit to a character that just seems to get more two-dimensional and cartoonishly evil by the second. But I'm actually gonna kind of push back against that idea. As firstly, Stella is no master planner. She has never made any moves to imply that she was some sort of genius or some evil conniving villain. She's conniving, sure, but she's not really super smart about it. There's no really planning or 10-head move. She literally just had an assassin pop up while they're discussing a divorce. There's no plausible deniability here. If you're trying to sell the idea, oh, she's actually smart, she waited that one time to kill Stolas on the balcony, that's not really planning, nor is it an intelligent move. That's her being smug and having the bare minimum patience to wait for someone else to do her dirty work. This also tracks once you keep in mind just how Stella was raised. She's rich. Her entire life has been planned out for her, with her just needing to go along with it and give birth. That's pretty much all that was expected of her. Stella has never had to mature. As if she fulfilled the role high society wanted from her, she was given free rein to do whatever she wanted. Even when she was a kid, strangling her pets in a rage, people just kept giving her more. No one ever checked her on anything, leading Stella to believe that she can just do whatever the hell she wants with no consequences. It worked when she was a kid. Stolas never fought back when they were married. So this whole divorce is the first time she's ever had any significant pushback. Her being immature tracks. But to play the demon's advocate, I don't think she's as stupid as people and Andrelphus make her out to be. Stella strikes me less as someone who is dumb and more like she is single-minded. Stella latches onto one thing and obsesses over it till there's no room left in her head. Right now, she wants to kill Stolas. That's it. She wants the man dead for daring to stand up to her. Achieving that goal is all that matters. It's the only thing she has to worry about, and she's kind of right. I think people are making Stella not factoring in her lack of inheritance to be a way bigger deal than it actually is. As again, she's rich. Her family is old money. Her brother is seemingly close to Stolas in rank and importance. Even if she kills Stolas and all of his shit passes to Octavia, who doesn't care for her mother and kicks her out, Stella has got her family to fall back on. She could start bumming it with her brother. Sure, she won't have the prestige of being the wife of a Goetia, but of things that she loses, that's kind of it. Let's take a step back from that. Besides the money, Stella doesn't want to be a fucking Goetia. That would mean she would have actual responsibilities. She'd have to start going to fairs. She'd have to start opening portals. It would mean that she would have a job. Stella just wants to throw parties and get wine drunk. This woman would kill herself if she had to spend 10 seconds in wrath, let alone being surrounded by all these poor people for hours. This girl has no higher ambitions. She comes from money. Stella is already living her best life. So there's nothing Stolas has that will really benefit her all that much. So I don't think Stella is that dumb for ignoring the whole will situation. She knew Stolas wasn't gonna give her anything, and she didn't care enough about anything that he had to try and steal it. The only person who really does benefit from stealing Via's inheritance is Andrelphus, who, real world demon lore here, don't know if it's accurate. This man is technically only a marquis, while Stolas is a prince. Andrelphus has a lot to gain by stealing from his niece. raising his station, increasing his magical powers, and getting territory that isn't just Antarctica. But this man can get all that for himself, or control it via his sister, who would be uninterested in managing any of that. Stella isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but she had this situation in the bag. Stolas was about to die, she was about to get pics, then she'd move on to brunch. This whole inheritance situation doesn't really benefit her, but it really benefits Andrelphus, who has more than enough pull to get his sister to do the thing that he wants. I'm behind Stella being petty and petulant. That has been her whole vibe since we've met her, chucking an imp out a window just to make a point, destroying the house because she's in a rage, and why not? But I don't think she's as stupid as people are making her out to be. I don't really think she's being poorly written or inconsistent, nor do I think Hell of a Boss is ruining her character. Could they have taken her in a different direction? Sure, totally. But you can say that about everyone here. Personally, I'm enjoying this angry bird woman. Plus, I'm curious to see what her relationship is like with Andrelphus. See if this weird belittling big brother thing has anything to do with how bad she turned out. Maybe he bullied her as a kid? Maybe she has just always been terrible. But most importantly though, and the thing I am also very curious about, is how the show's gonna deal with Stella and Octavia's relationship. As Stolas' family is probably... No, yeah, it kind of is the most important thing in the show right now. But Octavia and Stella haven't talked once. The only time we've ever heard Stella talk about Via is when she referred to her as that egg that fell out of her, or yelling at Stolas for potentially turning Via against her. Via is definitely a daddy's girl. We don't know what the relationship between her and her mom was ever like, if there's any affection there either way. As Andrelphus doesn't need a dead owl to get his talons on Stolas' fortune, he needs two. And we really don't know if Stella will be willing to let Via die. Who knows, maybe Stella will be ambivalent towards the idea till she thinks about how much it would hurt Stolas, then yeet their daughter herself. Or maybe after being built up as such a monster, an entire life of being selfish and only thinking of herself, Stella might finally draw the line at her daughter. As I can't put money on either outcome, as nothing seems beyond Stella. Redemption? Probably not. But doing one decent thing? Yeah, we might be able to give her that.
Up yours!
No way.
This has been Sarcastic Chorus. Let me know what other Hell of a Boss videos you guys want me to talk about. I'm thinking about doing more shorts lately, and your guys' comments are a great way to let me know which topics I should tackle. Subscribe to be kept up to date on all my nonsense and occasional analysis. You've been great. Peace out.